So, an exciting weekend. Finally, Bitcoin did actually what we thought it might do and rallied. So, that's kind of cool. So, I'm going to start here with regular candles and we'll look at where we are with Bitcoin. Remember, this is one of those 618, 382 golden ratio reversal zones, and we normally expect the 50% level to be a bit of a pivot. This today, in this overnight, we had a proper squeeze going on in Bitcoin, and when that happens, if you blast straight through a level, you want to see it be support, and it kind of looks like that's what we're doing here in Bitcoin. So where are we going to? Well, we talked before about harmonic pattern rules and how they would apply here. So I'm going to draw this on a 4-hour and show you, one of the simple rules is if a rally doesn't go more than 50% of the previous swing lower. So in this case, this rally was to 38.2 of this swing and 50% of this big swing. Then the next swing higher, when you break the high, you expect at least a 1.618, if not a 2.618 extension of this correction. So if we apply that harmonic pattern rule here, then 1.618 is where we would be looking for our first target. So I would say another way to look at this is, do you see how we've drawn this in a declining wedge in Bitcoin? And this is the third touch of our trend line. So normally you would expect a false breakout here and you would expect it to stay within the trend line. That's how the rules of kind of third touches of trend lines works if you've drawn them correctly and everyone's looking at the same one. The problem is that these two lines either side of this price action are not parallel, and if this rule fails, it's usually because we're making a parallel. And so when I do that, I connect the lows on the other side like this, clone it and grab it from the middle so it doesn't change the angle, and I'll draw it like that. So if we end up making a parallel channel here in a bigger ABC, that upper line becomes the valid one and not this lower line. So I've got that there as my kind of second line of defense. But so I do think that there's room for a squeeze here to 12,245. And then whether this is the correction over in Bitcoin or whether this was just a big A and a big B leg and we've still got another C leg to come is going to depend on what happens on the pullback. So then we're going to watch the pullback, because if this is just a big wave 3 from this low to here, then the normal, place you would expect for a correction would be, let's back to the 38.2. Let's make that one red instead, and we'll show where that is. So if this is a wave 1, 2, 3, this is a new upswing, and we stop up about here, then 38.2 pullback is what we would be looking for. If we stop about here, somehow we won't, I don't think, come back that far. We'll only come back as far as the 236 fib. To be honest, I wouldn't want to see us back underneath this low here. Okay, at 11,068. If we come back below 11,068, that's our bearish reversal, and we are looking for another leg lower. If I put the fib on the whole complete swing, you see that 236 fib, and they're kind of around the same area. It's not an exact science, but that will become our support zone, and then below there we're in a bigger correction. Then we would just be looking for that 382 if it's a little bit squeezy. Any more than that, if we find support there, then we are potentially looking another leg higher. More than that, I think we're rolling over and we'll do a big A, B, C. So that's where we are for me today. With Bitcoin, I can what I've been particularly impressed with Bitcoin today, is not just how it's been trampling all over the alts, but in stock indexes, we've had some really nasty moves, and we've seen it before where really nasty moves in stock indexes of that kind of bearish sentiment has rolled over into Bitcoin, and especially when it was more active with crypto trading in China. And when you had to sell something to meet your margin calls for stocks, people sell anything. So that's how, even though Bitcoin has nothing to do with stock indexes, that's how these sell-offs spread out, because when you need to sell something to meet your margin, then you'll sell whatever you can, not not necessarily what you want to. That seems to have calmed down a bit, but we've had a really nasty move lower. This is the candle overnight. We've lost the daily 50 overnight in the S&P, so that's looking pretty nasty to head lower. If we look at some Asian stock indexes, for example, let's look at what the Hang Seng did. Let's see if we get a chart of that up. Look at this, horrible in the Hang Seng, horrible Sunday open, gap lower, well underneath the previous lows, well underneath all of the daily moving averages, and this one further to fall in the Hang Seng. So it's quite cool to me that we're seeing that Bitcoin is holding up as an alternate asset and not just being sold with everything else. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. So I'm expecting a little bit of a squeeze higher. If you're looking at new longs, this should be really short-term plays for now, because I do think that 12,245 could be a bit of strong resistance. But for now, we are continuing higher. As Sean says, if this isn't great, I don't know what is.